I'm flying out to Seattle to attend Flock Fiber Festival 2 months from the day that I'm filming this. So I gotta figure out what knitted things I'm gonna wear and get knitting them. Hello and welcome to Golden Hour Knitwear. My name is Cameron and today we're talking about Flock. We're talking about what Flock is, a Flock along, so knitting garments to wear to Flock, and my plans of what I'm going to knit or thinking about knitting for Flock. So if you don't know what Flock is a big fiber festival in Seattle. It's fairly new. I don't know a whole lot about Flock, so don't bear with me here. But it's fairly new. It's getting bigger and bigger every year though. And there's a lot of hype around it. We all love Flock. There's going to be a lot of big names in the industry, a lot of really larger yarn dyeing companies, fiber companies, yarn companies in general, just lots of really fantastic designers and just people in general. So I'm really excited to go. I didn't think I was going to get to go this year and I planned on not going. But my friend Inga from Fuzzy Peach Fibers, she's the owner and dyer of Fuzzy Peach Fibers, she messaged me at the beginning of this year and she's like, hey, I need somebody to help me at Flock. You want to come? And I was like, heck yes. So I'm going to Flock. I'm not going to be bringing any of my own yarn or anything. I'll just be assisting Inga at her booth, Fuzzy Peach Fibers, which is going to be a lot of fun because I love her brand. I love her yarn. Flock is going to be a blast. I'm just so excited to go. As expected, I guess, a lot of people love to knit garments or wear knitted garments or crocheted any fibery crafty garment or whatever. They love to knit or crochet or sew or whatever garments to wear to these fiber festivals. I went to a fiber festival just a couple weekends ago and there were so many people wearing hand knit or crocheted tops and that was just so much fun. With Flock, they are hosting a little knit along. It's called the Flock Along. And I haven't looked too much into the details of this, but I'm pretty sure people are just knitting stuff to wear to Flock. And I have been thinking about what I want to knit and wear to Flock, especially because I only had 2 months to finish that up. Now, when you're planning what to knit to an event, you gotta think about the weather, right? Are we gonna wear sweaters, knitted tees, tank tops? You know, what are we gonna do there? So Flock is held in Seattle. I've never been to Seattle. I have never been to the Pacific Northwest at all. I don't know exactly what to expect with the weather, so I posted a little question box on my stories the other day asking people what the weather in August in Seattle is like, and I got a lot of responses of that it's fairly warm and sunny, it's nice weather. It might get a little warm, though you might also want to bring layering pieces in case it gets chilly at night or it just happens to get chilly if you're near the water or something like that. Because the weather is expected to be pretty warm and sunny, I am going to focus on tees and tanks and stuff like that. So I have a list of tees and tanks, of knit tees and tanks to share with you, just some of my favorite patterns that I've compiled over the last little while. And then I have like 2 or 3 cardigans, wrap cardigans on the list as well, just to kind of have just in case it gets a little chilly. So I'm going to share that list with you, and then I'm going to let you know what I am thinking about knitting for myself. All right, first up on the list is the Moonset Tee by Ozetta. I love this one. I have always loved this one, and I've been dying to knit it. This one is, I think, perfect in any color. You could do this one in a fun bold color or in a nice classic color, and it will just look fantastic on everybody. I love a good V-neck, and the neckline on the Moonset Tee is very interesting construction. The necklines, either side of the neckline, overlap each other down at the bottom there where you join the 2 front panels together, and I think that's a really cool feature of this design. I also love a good drop shoulder. If you've been here for a while, you know that. And I just think this tee has the perfect amount of positive ease. It just looks really nice, and it's knit in a fingering weight yarn, a quite tight gauge, so it's quite the project to get a tee in such a tight gauge knit sometimes, but I think it'll be totally worth it with a beautiful fabric, especially depending on what yarn you choose to knit it in. I've also had my eye on the Skyline Tee by Tori Yu. I think this one's a little bit more of a new pattern. I really like this one. It's not a drop shoulder. I think it's a saddle shoulder construction. I can't remember. I haven't looked too much at that pattern more recently, but it's really interesting how it's got the ribbing detail on the shoulders and down into the sleeves a little bit there, and it has a slightly oversized look without being too big, right? Again, this one I think would look really fantastic in bright, bold colors or classic colors that are gonna stay in style forever. Though I really, really love Tori's sample of this one, the fun, bright, bold color. And I'm tempted to knit this one in a bright, bold color someday, but we'll see. I'm kind of scared with bright, bold colors. I'm not entirely sure that they suit me very well, but you know, it's something to think about and have fun with. I think that one is also a tighter gauge. So just a nice solid knit tee. All right, next is the Juno top. This one's really fun. There's 3 different versions. There's the strapless, sleeveless version. There's the off-shoulder, longer quarter sleeve version, I think. I don't have pictures in front of me. And then there's the tank version, and I love all of them. There's something really feminine and beautiful about the off-the-shoulder one, though I don't know if I have the guts to wear that. Though I really, really love the tank top version. I think they're all fantastic, but if I were to knit this one, it would definitely be that tank top version. I love that this one is not as tight as the other ones, and it just makes it look a little bit more comfortable and forgiving anyway, I guess. And I think this one's such a fun one, and knit in a nice like merino cotton yarn. I think it'd keep you nice and cool, but still have good structure and look nice. And with all of that texture, I think it also would stand out a little bit more and be like, hey, yes, this is a knitted tee. Like, here I am. I'm at a fiber festival. Like, I did it, you know? Okay, next up is the Luna tee by Charissa. You guys know I love this one. I am desperate to knit this one. It's on my spring make list for this spring, but I don't know that I'm gonna get to it. But we'll see. I might cave into this one for vlog, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I just love the texture of this one. I think it's broken rib, and I love the raglan design, the detail of the raglan there. I just think it looks so good, and the length of the sleeves, it just looks so nice and classy. I think you could wear this to anything, and it would just be perfect. I love it so much. I think this one obviously would look fantastic in a neutral color, but I saw somebody post it on Instagram just the other day in a really beautiful purple-ish color, a warm purple, and it was just so pretty. And I'm tempted to do the same, but we'll see. I have yarn for it in stash. I have a nice neutral creamy color in stash for it in a nice yarn, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure I would get use out of more than just one of these. Like, I feel like I could knit 2 or 3 of these in different colors and wear all of them all of the time. So I could do a neutral and a, you know, you don't have to limit yourself. All right, next up is the Riley tee. This one, I'm just there for the simple tees, I guess. I love this one. I think this one's somewhat similar to the Skyline tee, but it's not. I think this one might be a DK weight, and I think the Skyline might be a fingering weight. I forgot to take those notes before I sat down to film, but I think that's what it is. You'll want to check Ravelry before quoting me on that. And by the way, all of these are going to be linked in the description as always, so if you want to check any of these out, they'll be in the description. I think this one would be fun in like any color. I think the texture on the shoulders there would be fun to, I mean, a tonal would show that off a little bit better, but I think this one would be fun in a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a semi-tonal yarn, just to show off how nice semi-tonal yarns look in stockinette sometimes. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with this one. And again, I do love my slightly oversized boxy tees, so it's a good one. All right, and then my last one that I put on the list, my simple little list of my favorites, of some of my favorites anyways. This one is the Leela top by Caidree. This one's new, so I had to double check my notes. This one just came out earlier this week, like a week ago-ish, depending on when you're watching this. And it's a good one. I love the boat neck, and I think a boat neck really would suit my body style really well. And so I'm really interested in knitting this one, or just something of that style, that silhouette. And I think it's such a classy look as well. I really love the garter stitch, like horizontal stripes, kind of the texture there. I think this one would be beautiful in soft, muted tones or classic neutrals. I just think any of those classy colors would just suit this really classy knitted tank. All right, and then a few people suggested that that you bring layers to Seattle just in case it gets a little chilly in the evenings, or depending on where you're at, what you're doing. So I'm tempted to try and bring a cardigan, though I don't know if I want to wear a cardigan over like a knitted cardigan over a knit t-shirt. I might bring a cardigan to wear like on the plane, or just while we're traveling or setting up and taking down the days before and after or whatever. But so I'll just share a few cardigans because I imagine I get pretty warm walking around helping customers and talking to people and all sorts of things. I think it's going to be a little busy. I believe it's indoors, which I can get chilly indoors, but with so many people there, I think it could get pretty warm in the building pretty quick. So I think the cardigan, if I do bring one, I think it'll mostly be for evenings in the hotel while we're just kind of chilling and like refilling our social batteries, and for traveling. So I think I will bring one. I think I'm going to work on a cardigan. But I do have a couple to share. So I do love the Minou cardigan, and I do have the Minou cardigan on my needles. So that's on my list because I could just finish that up. This one is beautiful. I have been oohing and awing over this one forever. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the texture, and I think the mixture of the half fisherman's rib and the cables is absolutely just stunning and genius. I would never have thought to do that, and it's so beautiful. I test knit the tank top version of the Minou. I test knit the Minou tank or the Minou top last summer, and I had so much fun with that stitch. And I've started the cardigan, and it's just such a fun design to knit up. It's just so enjoyable with all the cables and everything. It's popcorn knitting to just keep on going. I think this one would be beautiful in the creamy color that you see in the sample, or just any other neutral. I think cardigans are perfect in neutrals because then you can throw them on over anything, and it works because it's a neutral, and neutrals go with everything. I have found a new cardigan to obsess over. So the Minou cardigan has been one of those cardigans that I'm just obsessing over. But I found a new one to obsess over, and I think most of the knitting world would agree with me when I say that the book club cardigan by Sari Nordlund, it just recently came out. Absolutely flippin' gorgeous. I need that thing in my life. It is so beautiful. So the book club cardigan is an oversized boxy sweater. It looks so warm and cozy, and it's cables and double moss stitch all over, and it just looks so good. I struggle with cabled cardigans and sweaters sometimes if they look too, like if the cables look too 3D and chunky, if you know what I mean. Like if you can see the pops of cables off of your shoulders and things like that, it sometimes is a little too much for me personally. But I don't have that problem with the Minou cardigan because half fisherman's rib is also bumpy, and so the whole thing just kind of works together, melds together. But the book club cardigan is not all cables. There's double moss stitch and stuff there, and I think everything is just placed so strategically and beautifully that everything lines up really nicely and melds together, and I think it just looks so good. This one is also knit in a sport weight held with a mohair or suri, like a lace weight yarn, or a worsted weight yarn. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of a quicker knit, but it would also be a warmer knit. Not so sure if that's for, you know, deep, warm summer or not, but it's just beautiful, and I need to make it regardless of whether I want to bring it to flock or not. All right, and the last one is the Zosia wrap cardigan. I think this one's beautiful as well. This one is also on my needles, but though it's in timeout right now, I just haven't had the time or energy to focus on this one. I've got other projects in rotation right now. But this one's really beautiful. I think with this one being a lace weight held just all by itself, it is a little bit more suited toward like chilly summer nights, but with it being suri, it's still gonna be nice and warm and keep you warm. There's a balance there. It might be too warm, but it might also be fine because it's so lacy and open gauge. But it's a very, very beautiful one. I absolutely love it. I think in a nice lighter toned neutral color, it would just go beautifully over so many different things. Just tank tops and t-shirts. Well, depending on how, you don't want to show your sleeves through the sleeves. You don't want to show your t-shirt sleeves through the wrap cardigan sleeves too much. It just kind of depends. You don't want to make it too bulky. or a dress. I think it'd be really pretty over a dress or skirt or something like that. So this one's perfect as well. All right, so those are just some of my favorite knitted tees and tanks and cardigans that if you are interested in knitting something for flock, if you're going, those are just a couple ideas for you. But for myself, I think I'm somewhat settled on what I want to knit and bring, but it might change as we go. I'm gonna shoot for two knitted tees and or tanks, just because I'll be assisting at the booth for, you know, the Saturday and the Sunday. So I've got to come up with two, and I would love to knit both of the tops in yarn from Fuzzy Peach Fibers since I'll be at her booth. I just think that'd be so much fun to be able to be talking with a customer at the booth and be like, yeah, and that's what I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing that base and I love it, and that's the exact color that, or whatever, you know, I don't know exactly what yarn she's bringing yet, but it'd just be so much fun to be like, yeah, and this is yarn that Inga dyed. So I do have quite a bit of summery fibers from Inga, from Fuzzy Peach Fibers, in my stash, so I'll show those really quick. This one right here is, these are all the same base, which is her Joy base. 50% alpaca, 25% silk, and 25% linen. I love this base, it's so good. So this one is sun-baked. It's a very beautiful, warm, strawberry, pinkish, reddish, brownish. all in between there. It's such a beautiful color. I love it so, so, so much. Next up, this one is champagne. This is a warm, well, I mean, everything on, almost everything, most colorways are going to come up a little bit warmer on this base because the linen, I think the base itself has a little bit of a brown undertone, a little warm undertone. So this is a warmish, creamy white color, which is really nice. This one just shot out to me so much when she was revealing the colorways for the Joshua Tree collection. That's what all these are from, by the way. When she was revealing all the colorways, there were so many beautiful neutrals, but among all of the like creamy ones, this one just shot out to me so much. I just think it's such a beautiful shade. I love it so much. And then the last one that I have is hazelnut. I only have one of these. So this one's got to be a tee with a very open gauge or a tank, or I got to stripe it with something. This one's hazelnut. This one's just a nice warm beige tan color. I think it's really, really nice. But I think they're all great colors, and I think they'll all suit me pretty well. So I'm excited to get going, and I have got going. So like I said, I'm shooting for two. One of them I have already started. I couldn't resist. I just had to go. And that is the Moonset Tee by Ozetta. Right, so here we are. It's kind of a massive mess right now because, I mean, it is a drop shoulder. So I've got the back panel, I've got the left panel, and I've started the right panel. And you work the neckline as well while you're knitting. And so it's just, there's so many bits and pieces, so many ends to weave in later. But here we are. And then later I will have to go in and seam the neck down to the back, which is really interesting. I was so confused when I started this. I was like, wait, I have to do what? And I was really just doubting myself. But you just got to keep knitting and it works out. But this is on the Joy, her Joy base, the sun-baked colorway. I am in love with this color so much. And this base is such a good one as well. So I've done the left panel. I just can't hold this thing the right way. Done the left panel. And I'm working on the right panel. Oh, you can see it kind of come together now. There we go. I'm almost done with that right panel. Well, maybe a couple dozen rows. So I'm almost done with that right panel. And then I will join the front panels in the round, or join the front panels together, and then I think probably a few rounds before joining the round all together. Once I do get to that point though, I think I will cast on the next thing, which I'm thinking will be the Leela top by Caidree. Like I said, I think this one is such a nice classic silhouette. I think it just looks so good. And the colorway that I'm thinking of knitting this one in is hazelnut. I think just a warm, soft neutral, but just looks so good in this top. And like I said, I only had one of these, and I think that's enough to knit it. I'm a shorty, And I tend to knit my things pretty cropped because then they're perfect right as I hit there. I like to knit things so that they hit right below my pant line. I'm short and I wear high-waisted things all the time. So I knit my tops fairly short. I think it'll be perfect, and I'm excited about this one. Though I think I will want to come up with something to wear over it, just in case it is chilly in the venue. I really have no idea what to expect, if it'll be chilly or if it'll be a little bit warm. So I might kind of have to think that through, because I don't know that I want to wear a knitted cardigan with a knitted top, right? Kind of depends on the knitted top in question. Because I've seen that done really well, but sometimes it looks a little like funky. So nobody there is going to care because y'all knit. So I don't know. But I think like a jean jacket or a blazer or something like that would be fun to wear over as well. And I do have a jean jacket. I'll have to try that on and see how they look together and kind of think that through a little bit. But like I said, I am not super set on that. My mind could change, though I'm very interested in knitting that top at some point. If I decide not to do that one, I do have quite a bit of this white color, and I am not entirely sure what I want to do with it, but I'll figure it out. I might swap some ideas around and knit with this instead of that, but for now, I think those are my plans. My two knitted tops for flock. As for a cardigan to wear while I'm traveling or just in the evenings where it could be chilly in the hotel. I feel like hotels are always hot. But as for the cardigan, like I said earlier, I love the Minou cardigan, and I've had it on my needles for so long. So let's see. I cast it on in the fall, I think, of 2023. It is 2024. Like spring, almost end of spring 2024. I got to maybe an inch below the underarm, and then it just kind of sat in the closet for a while. This one is a slow growing one because of the half fisherman's rib. That one just takes a while. So I'm very excited to finish it up. I've been knitting on it more. Like you can see, maybe an extra 2 inches in the last week-ish, and this is a slow growing stitch. But I'm excited. I've got like 30 more rows before I do the band, the hem at the bottom, though I might knit it shorter because I am short. But cardigans are nice to keep long because you want them to cover your shirt. I don't like to have my cardigan shorter than my shirt. So I might just knit it to pattern so that it's nice and long, but there's where we're at. Plus it's hard to gauge how much it's gonna grow because it's mostly half fisherman's rib. So I don't know how much length I'm gonna get out of this, but I am excited. And I think having the deadline of knitting it for flock is going to really push me to finish it, which I need because, like I said, it's a labor of love, this texture is, with all of the cables and half fisherman's rib. It's very beautiful though. Plus, I'm knitting this with a DK weight yarn, and the pattern calls for a fingering plus a lace weight. So I think DK is a little bit thicker than fingering plus lace. So it's quite tight, and it kind of hurts my hands a little bit, especially on the rows with cables. So I try to my hands start to hurt after like 6 or 7 rows. So I have to kind of limit myself a little bit. But I've been working, a couple rows in the morning with my breakfast, a couple rows in the afternoon with my lunch, just a little bit here and there. And it's growing really fast if I do it that way. And then it's not hurting my hands, which I'm big on not hurting yourself. So that's been good for me. And I think that's a really good solution for getting this sucker done. All right, I think that's pretty much my plan. I've thought about doing some sort of something with hand spun yarn because that's fun. It's a fiber festival. It's fun to bring something that kind of shows what you do and what, shows off your hobbies a little bit more, because that's a place where everybody can see and recognize your craft and appreciate it. So I've kind of thought about that, but I only have 2 months. Tour de Fleece is coming up and I'm planning on getting a lot of spinning done there. But I don't know that I can do it like a whole sweater quantity. I don't know that I can spin like a contrast color and then do a whole sweater, which a sweater is probably going to be too heavy for flock anyways in Seattle. So I don't know. I think it'd be fun to have a little hand spun something, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, that's it. That's the plans. Those could change a little bit as time goes on in the next couple weeks, but I don't imagine that they'll change too much, especially because I've been working on the Minou and loving it, and I've been working on the moon set and loving it. So we'll see. And if you're interested in following along these projects, then feel free to stick around because I will update you on these projects in all of my knitting podcast episodes that I do every other week. So that next one will be next weekend. Alrighty, that is all that I have planned for today. Let me know in the comments if you are planning on attending Flock. It'd be fun to stop and say hi and interact with you all a little bit. And if you are going, let me know if you are planning on joining the Flock along. Let me know if you're knitting anything or crocheting anything to wear to Flock, because I'm excited to see what everybody else is gonna have. And maybe give me some other ideas just in case I decide not to go with the Leela top. Maybe I wanna cast on a different tank top with that yarn. If you liked today's video, don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell so that you see all of my future videos. It also really helps out the channel, helps YouTube send all my videos to other people like you who might enjoy as well. Thanks again for sticking around. I will see you next time with a regular podcast episode. Have a great week and happy knitting. Bye.